Hi, it's me, the voice behind Stories and Stones. Right now, it's way too hot to go wander around cemeteries, so today I have a story instead of stones. A few months ago, I saw a post on Reddit talking about a very intriguing story that reminded me of one of my favorite urban legends. Like, it is definitely in the top 3. The Redditor that was talking about it told about a fashion model who was deceased yet was being propped up and used as a mannequin for a high-end fashion brand. Yep, that was the allegation. I had to Google that, of course, and found that there were several TikTok accounts talking about this creepy situation, okay? So the story goes, this model named Christopher worked for Balenciaga. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I can't afford to pronounce it correctly. And he modeled for them, and then one day in 2020, he disappeared. And then in 2023, someone noticed that one of their mannequins in a window display looked exactly like him. And one TikToker even said, "This mannequin looked like somebody dead. Look at his hands. His hands is real as mine. I've never seen anybody look so real. Holy bleepity bleep. If you know anyone missing a black sun in Paris, he is in the store in the window." So the mannequin that they're talking about was featured in several different displays, dressed up in different clothes. And a lot of these people who saw it kind of pushed forth the idea that it was the preserved body of this missing model. And they figured that, you know, Balenciaga likes to push the envelope. They do these controversial things, so they wouldn't put it past them to preserve a dead guy and maybe even kill somebody to preserve and use as a clothing model. And, you know, that we should all cancel them because of this. I feel like if a company did that, we should do a little more than cancel them. But anyway. So who would have the kind of money to keep a corpse in such well-preserved condition, good enough to display? A fashion brand that makes millions of dollars could, but would they? It would be a lot of work. It's a lot of work, like I just said. It's a lot of work. Very intense work. And way more work than when you're just preserving a body. Not you, unless you're a mortician. But when a mortician is preparing a body just so it holds for a few days for a funeral service, and many expensive and very time-consuming procedures that usually take a team working on them, and they have to redo this stuff every couple months or every other month because you're still gonna rot. It's still gonna look a little funky if they don't apply really intense treatments. And also eventually they're gonna have to start replacing body parts with wax. It's a whole thing. I'm not an expert, but Caitlin from the Ask a Mortician YouTube channel is, and she has a video on how they preserved Vladimir Lenin because people still go view him laying there. And I'm going to link that video in the description below. So if you want to find out the nitty-gritty details of how they can preserve a body that long, but not really because they still have to replace parts with wax, you can go check that out. She has really great videos. She knows her stuff. I just know what I learned from her. It would be actually cheaper and easier for Balenciaga to pay for plastic surgery for a different model to make him look just like Christopher. It'd be cheaper and easier than turning him into a fashion zombie. So, Also, this is important to note. Christopher is still alive. Yeah, he might have decided not to model anymore, but he is neither missing or dead. Also, in 2019, Balenciaga started using hyper-realistic mannequins where they use 3D scanning to make perfect mannequin copies of their real-life models. So, case closed on that. Right? We all agree? That's what they did. That's not a dead guy that they keep dressing. Have you ever had to dress a full-size mannequin? It's crazy. It would be a lot. And parts would be falling off after a while if it was human flesh. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this got me pretty excited because I'm weird. And it reminded me of my top 3-4 urban legend, okay? La Pascualita. So the legend goes that in the 1920s, a woman named Pascuala Esparza owned a small bridal shop in Chihuahua, Mexico. Her daughter was due to be married, but suffered a bite from a black widow spider and died, of course, right on her wedding day. Ah, tragedy. Always gotta have a tragedy with an urban legend. So there we go. Right on her wedding day. Dropped dead from a spider bite. In the spring of 1930, so, a few years later, Miss Esparza had a beautiful new mannequin in her store window that was wearing a beautiful, fashionable white wedding dress. The word spread about this new display, and locals were soon flocking to the bridal boutique. They weren't necessarily there for the dresses, but how curiously lifelike this new mannequin was. They started to whisper about how uncanny it was, that this new mannequin looked just like Miss Esparza's deceased daughter. Word started to spread that this was indeed the dead body of her daughter, expertly embalmed and put on display. Horrified and angered by this, when they started believing that this was the case, some locals confronted Miss Esparza about her corpse bride. Miss Esparza denied doing such a ghastly thing, yet refused to show proof that the mannequin was just a mannequin. Just like people said about Christopher, they said that the hands look real with wrinkles and veins, has a lifelike skin color, rosy cheeks, glassy eyes, and natural looking hair. The natural looking hair would be easy enough. I mean, they make hair. They make wigs out of human hair. So that's not really that much of a proof. Several customers reported that the mannequin's eyes would follow them as they walked around the store. Others claimed they'd be walking through, they'd see her, they'd turn around, and she was in a different position. One lady who worked in the shop, named Sonia, was responsible for changing the mannequin's outfit twice a week. Every time I go near Pascualita, my hands break out in a sweat, she said. Her hands are very realistic, and she even has varicose veins on her legs. I believe she is a real person. This is what Sonia said. I'm not saying that. Okay. All right. Notice I haven't mentioned this tragic daughter's name. All I've said is she's the daughter of Miss Esparza. Apparently it's been lost to time. You would think someone in town would have known the girl's name, especially since she has become so famous, but no. She's just called La Pascualita. Poor girl. Lost her life and her name. And what about the fellow she was supposed to marry? What was his take on all this? No comment, or name for him either. So, La Pascualita has been in the window of this dress shop for 90-ish years. Right in the window in a place that's usually pretty hot and pretty sunny. Which is probably why Sonia got sweaty when she had to change her clothes. I have changed the clothes of a full-body mannequin in a store in a mall and got very sweaty. So it's a sweaty job. It doesn't matter if the shop is air conditioned or not, you're going to get sweaty, especially when it's right in the window. Also, there's no proof that there's ever been an owner by the name of Pascuala Esparza, and there are no death records for a woman of that name. There's a lot of reasons why La Pascualita is just a very well-made mannequin. And she's doing quite well drawing business to the little bridal shop that is still in operation. So why would they ever debunk her legend? So you can just go see her, which is probably why it's one of my favorite urban legends. You can go see it. You can actually go. It's not like you can't just go out and see Bigfoot. You might, if you're lucky, but probably not. You can't just go out and see aliens unless, you know, you get abducted or something. Or if you have super high government clearance, then you get to see the aliens. But La Pascualita is right there in the window. Hey, come check out our mannequin. She might be a dead lady. So that's all I have for y'all today. If you enjoyed it, you can like, you can subscribe, you can even do both. I believe in you. Let me know what urban legend or spooky story you'd like to see a video on, because I'll probably be doing this until it's no longer scorching hot lava outside. Y'all be good, and do not turn your loved ones into mannequins. Or do. I'm not the boss of you. Bye.